Hey, just thought I'd send you a little cute little intro from my bed and hoping there's nothing embarrassing in my background. Aside from the tissues my girlfriend has left on the bookshelf. Right in front of a whole bunch of Marvel. Oh boy, that's a lot of Marvel, isn't it? Anyway, that's a little ironic considering that the episode we're about to do is Gotham, that DC TV show that was all about little bitty Bruce Wayne before he became the big bad bat. Joining me are an actor who has appeared on Gotham, Carolyn De Melo, as well as returning champ from TV Guide and Comic Book Club Live. Think that's what it's called, Alex Zalben. So join us as we dive into this show that should not have lasted as many seasons as it did. Ha-ha! Bats!
You may love a thing that I can't stand. Spiders, tofu, watching Homeland. Our interests are all varying. It's fun to be contrarian. But I'll try things that you all love to see if I can rise above. But maybe there's a chance that I just won't. So in that case, don't mind if I don't.
Welcome to Don't Mind If I Don't. Hey, I'm your host, Aaron Gold. This is the show where I don't like things, and fans and experts come on and show me why I'm wrong, so I can be like, you know what, I was wrong. Thank you. I'm a better person now, a more well-rounded individual. Except that probably won't happen today, because we're talking about Gotham, the hit show that is getting canceled. Oh man, Gotham. Joining me are two Gotham experts. First of all, managing editor at Decider.com and host of Comic Book Club Live. Also, my first three-time guest, Alex Zalben.
Hey, thanks for having me back on ×2.
Oh-ho! I don't know why I oh-ho'd that. I think
It sounded like it. I set you up for it, and then you knocked him down.
Let me try again. Say that again.
Thanks for having me on ×2.
Bam, bam, bam.
Oh, that was pretty good as well.
Yeah, I felt like
now
that
you have
one's-
options.
Now we do. Yeah, great. Well, yes, I do. I don't have a... I've watched so much Gotham today, my brain is melting. And speaking of people that somehow survived the process of watching this show, we've got actress and canon character in both Marvel and DC cinematic universes, Carolyn De Melo.
Hi, I'm thrilled to be here.
Thrilled to have ya. Bam, bam, bam. That's going to be my go-to now.
Please don't.
I think I can hear the world asking
Aaron's
me
anthem
not
when he
to.
walks into a club. It goes, bam, 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 and like swaggers
Like,
in.
this is a jazz club. Don't do that.
I'm sorry, it just happens when I enter a room. So, everything on the show gets rated on a scale of 0 to -10. 0 being ambivalence, -10 being blood-curdling hatred. Gotham clocks in at a solid -6.
Ooh. Okay, that's actually higher than I was expecting, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, me too. It was a -5, and then I watched those 4 episodes you guys told me to watch, and then it became a -6.
Oh, okay. All right, we made it worse.
This show. I'm just mad because it could be better. Like, I'm a big Batman fan, and this is like the dry rub cock tease of all Batman shows. Like, it's like,
It's not called Batman because it's not supposed to be called Batman.
I'm going to agree with Carolyn here, and I don't know if we're jumping right into it. But
Yeah, let's jump into it.
This is, I think, the major problem the show had right up front. I don't know how you felt about the first season. I honestly, no offense meant to Gotham, thought the first season was garbage. And part of the reason that it was garbage was they started out with this idea from the comics. I don't know if you read
Gotham PD? Gotham Central?
Gotham
Yeah.
Central, yeah. So they kind of start out with like, oh, what if we did a Gotham Central series? Wouldn't that be cool? And then, I don't know this for sure, but my long-standing theory has been somebody behind the scenes like, you can't just do it with the cops from Gotham, you idiots. There needs to be something in there. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, so the Penguin's going to be in there. And the Riddler and Catwoman. Eventually, some suit up the chain was like, you're going to do all the villains and not have Batman, you idiots? Put a young Bruce Wayne in there. And it threw the whole show out of whack, where it made it, at least initially, about young Bruce Wayne. People expected this Batman origin story, but like you were saying, Carolyn, it really actually very quickly becomes about the city of Gotham, and that's what I think is good about it.
And that's fine on surface. Because, like, I'd be down for a Gotham Central show where it's like Batman just shows up every once in a while. Honestly, I love Batman. I think Batman is at his best in other people's stories. When it's a Batman-centric story, I'm like,
I loved him best in Superman Red Sun. That's my favorite Batman.
That was a great
He's
Batman.
running around in a tank with the furry hat. I was like, yes, Batman, yes!
Oh, yeah, Russian Revolutionary Batman?
Oh, the best
Yes.
Batman.
I love any Batman on Justice League while he's reminding them, oh, by the way, this is why I'm here. I'm smarter than you. I'm already thought out everything you're going to do. You're welcome, bitches. It's Batman. Like...
Yeah, and I think I'm probably not helping things much when I say that every time they cut to Bruce Wayne, particularly in the first season or two, where I don't think he ever left this one study inside of his house. Like, they keep cutting back to him, and he's standing next to his fireplace and brooding. The show grinds to a halt at that point. It's not great, but... along the way, it figures out these wonderful things, I think, to do with all these other characters, particularly the villain characters. And what you're talking about with Batman, I think we can probably all agree that with the Batman comic books, one of, if not the best aspect, is his rogues gallery. They're great.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
when it starts to figure those people out, when it starts to really get into the Riddler, really get into the Penguin, all of the villains, starts bringing in Mr. Freeze and Firefly and everything else, it's a lot of fun.
But we have to remember Batman, like anybody else, started off as like a kid whose parents died. And like I think we lose that.
Like anybody else?
Like, you know, anybody else is a drug.
Like, oh, you know,
Flash
just-
loses parents. People lose people all the time in the history.
Sorry, can we do a
childhood.
quick check-in? My parents both died in an alley. Did your parents both die in an
Yeah,
alley?
mine too. Is you no.
Mine died in a cul-de-sac. So...
yeah, you don't know what it's like.
No,
no.
it's different.
So I will say my history with the show, I watched the entire first season back when it first aired, and then I started watching the second season when that first aired until I realized, you know what? I don't have to do this to myself. And then I stopped. And man, was I free. But then you guys had me watch the season 2 finale, the season 3 episodes 14 and 15, where we kind of get Jerome, who is not the Joker.
No.
He's not the Joker.
No.
No, he's not.
He's not the Joker.
You can't kill an idea, and that's sort of the point of Gotham too. Like ideas plant things, and then they grow and
He's
become
the Joker. He
No.
threw a Joker card in the last episode you had me watch, which was season 4, episode 13. He threw a bloody Joker card
Yes.
onto the table. He's the Joker.
Sure. So there's a couple of things about that. I mean,
Oh
first
my
of all, can we do spoilers? Is that okay?
Yeah, at this point on, spoiler alert.
Okay.
You've been warned.
So Jerome dies. Like, he dies several times, but
he really also actually for real dies.
yeah, he for real dies, and his brother, Jeremiah, who's his twin brother.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? When you guys are defending this show, you're defending he had a twin brother the whole time. One of those lazy ass plot twists. Is it the same actor?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
That's how twins work.
Oh my god!
They look the same.
But it was on purpose to make sort of a commentary.
Right.
Was the commentary, you don't have to watch this show anymore? Don't worry, we're getting canceled, so let's just go for broke?
No, so I was going to say two things about Jerome. Well, I'll say several things about Jerome, and I'm sure you will too. But so he gets replaced by his brother, and presumably his brother at some point over the next season will be replaced by somebody else because, like Carolyn said, you can't kill an idea. But
he'll die, and then their third brother,
Right.
Jack, will show up.
No.
There's actually a real world reason they can't do it, which Cameron Moynihan, who plays Jerome and Jeremiah, revealed recently. They cannot use the name Joker. It's reserved for the movies. They're
What?
going to use Joker for the movies. They cannot call him Joker on the show.
What? That's ridiculous.
It is, but it's one of those rights things, apparently, that they've made it impossible for Gotham to say the Joker. So instead, they've had to figure out a way to make it work. And I think...
Yeah, they've done a lot of referential because obviously the Joker wouldn't come out of nowhere, right? He wouldn't come out of a vacuum. There has to be a world that allows him to be, whether whoever we see is or isn't. He has, again, I was thinking about this recently. Breakfast with Tiffany's isn't Breakfast with Tiffany's without the city setting. You need a thing to make a thing happen. And you need this world of weird repetitive ideas and in order to make a world that Batman exists in. Without this world, you won't get Batman. You get some guy who goes to therapy. You need a world that moves in a certain way to get to the person that he becomes. And that's just what it does.
I will grant you that. And I'll also grant you what you said earlier, Alex. Yeah, the villains are great. Actually, season 4, that episode I watched in season 4 where we see a fully realized Riddler and stuff like that, I was digging that. That was the most I liked it. But this world they exist in for those first 3 seasons, and presumably a bunch of season 4, if not all of it, is so over the top. Like, I know that Gotham is an over the top place, but this is it's like gritty meets Adam West style Batman. That's what this Gotham is.
I'm going to spend probably a lot of time with the podcast harping on the first season and what they got wrong. But one of the things they did with the first season is they tried to make it every iteration of Batman. You know, they were very inspired by the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. They wanted to use a little bit of the Tim Burton movies. They wanted to use a little bit of the 60s Batman, and the styles didn't gel. So you got things like Jada Pinkett Smith, who, mind you, I think works really well later on when she shows up.
Yeah.
But in the first season, she's doing Eartha Kitt, and it doesn't match what anybody else is doing around her, and it just doesn't work. So when you look at the second season premiere, that's the one where the Maniacs show up, right? Where they literally, like, several episodes just murder the entire Gotham PD. That's where they were like, screw it. We're just going to kind of be like an over-the-top Tim Burton Batman movie, and that's pretty much it. And then over time, over the third season, the fourth season, the fifth season, they've brought in, I think, a little bit of the 60s Batman again, and made it mesh with that style, but mostly going for the dark, gothic, over-the-top sense of those 2 Batman movies that Tim Burton did really works for me.
Hard disagree. I mean, well, it works for you, and that I can't disagree with. I can say that I think your brain is wrong, but and I can just live in my anger hole. But I mean...
But I think we needed the first season specifically for the arc of Penguin, because I liked Penguin is a classic villain. He is, but he has to come from somewhere, and he doesn't come from the usual place. He rises through like having. I mean, it's just an option. You can go that route. You can become a superhero, and he just takes it, and it's real smart because he's the Penguin to fish. He's like a little wimpy dude, and as he grows more and more, in the end in season 4, he gets mad and he gets revenge on somebody who killed his mother a bunch of seasons back, and he's been planning it the whole time. In the background, like a classic, noir style villain, like the whole time, like just waiting. And that's just really cool. Whereas some, want an instant payoff. You have another guy who's really classic Tommy guns, like mafioso compared to some like crazy maniacs. You have a nice, I'd say, like cornucopia of crime lords.
That's actually very well said.
You get the crazies, but you also get like these really classic villains that have a clear story and a clear progression that's beautiful to watch because they don't start off where they end up, and it's cool to watch them become who they become.
I will give you that. Like, I do love a good overarching character. I like seeing characters develop over seasons. Like that is my yum time.
Well, and another thing that I want to say bouncing off of that, and I don't know how you feel about this necessarily, but I think this is a really good cast. Like, whatever arguments you can have about the material that you're working with, because I've certainly talked to a lot of people over the years who are like, Gotham's terrible. And I'm not going to fight too many people on it. I will fight you because
that's the point of it.
Exactly. Yeah. But through it all, I think this cast is great. I mean, you mentioned Penguin. Right from the first episode, Robin Lord Taylor is awesome. He embodies that character the way that I've never seen anybody else on screen do it. And it takes Corey Michael Smith a little while to figure out the Riddler stuff, but he really grows into it. And one of the best surprises on the show, Barbara Keene, who...
and the first season was intolerable.
And that's on purpose.
Yeah. I get that it was.
And once they let her go and they let her loose, her whole arc leading up to her essentially dying and then being reborn and becoming not exactly a proto-Harley Quinn because she's really her own character is great. And seeing her become this central crime lord figure in Gotham is really cool and something that we haven't seen on screen, something that we haven't seen in the comics. It doesn't have to be, even though it is a character that we know in the comics ends up having kids with Commissioner Gordon and whatever else, really, you look at the show and you think she could go anywhere. By the end of the next 13 episodes, when they're done with season 5, I have no idea where she's going to be or what that's going to mean for the future of Batman, and I think that's great.
A nice throwback, too, that you were mentioning previously about her and our other, female, strong female. We don't have them in the Batman movies, not like they're in Gotham. The last time they did that was, I'd say, Burton. We're missing these, and these women have whips. We have female assassins, and everybody's just a lot of, incredibly strong, fascinating women who hold their own, and they don't have that. I'm looking at Nolan's Batman, where's... Anne Hathaway, really?
I actually liked Anne Hathaway's Catwoman,
Yeah.
but that's fine. I will say that I think the casting across the board is excellent. I think my issue is with the writing, and sometimes the direction, but like the writing is my big issue. I remember watching the first season, and my favorite scene of all that I've seen of Gotham was when Zaz enters the police station.
I love Zaz.
And-
Zaz is...
he was so amazing as Zaz. And did he get killed off?
There's
No.
No.
He just stopped showing up?
No,
No,
he
no,
comes
no.
the best.
No,
Oh.
and he gets like a sidekick character who has like a patch who's like extra ballsy and cocky who like compliments Zaz. It's great. Anytime Zaz shows up, there's just guns. It's just excellent.
Yeah, they made I think for the beginning of the 4th season, they made a rap video with Zaz. Which it's just basically like him bobbing his head and that's it, but it's the funniest thing.
I've got a new voice shield, so they can't see behind this, but my head is resting on the microphone.
Here's the thing. One thing that I think people miss about the show that I like about it is most of the time it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like
It doesn't take itself seriously at all. It doesn't.
No, sometimes it does.
It is the Joker.
Wait, what do you
in that
mean?
it's all chaos. It doesn't matter because everybody, there are no stakes to this show.
I don't think that's true.
Everybody dies and then comes back, and then every 12 episodes, Gotham's erupted into chaos, and the majority of
But
the
that's
city
Batman.
is
I mean, have you
90%
ever
crazy people?
Have you read Batman comics? You're saying,
Yeah.
have you ever read a Batman arc where it doesn't end up with the entire city on fire, all of the villains loose from Arkham, and Batman's like, oh, it's never been this bad before. They're like 6 issues ago, maybe. That's when it was bad. 6 issues also
And it's
before
meant
that.
to like condense and amplify what happens in New York. You'd be like, all the terrorism, all the stuff that's going on. If you want to condense that into like, a few year period, you end up with Gotham because we have horrible shit happening here, and it's an interesting echo on that condensed. Because we don't have the whole city, but we have parts of it. And there were Harlem. Like, there's a condensation. I mean, it's all like very localized and intense plus magic. But if you had all that and that was real, you don't think the city would erupt into chaos?
I think parts of the city would erupt into chaos, but I think, listen, it's Gotham is supposed to be, it's supposed to be Detroit or Chicago, basically, like, which are 2 big cities.
Yeah.
It's a huge big city. I could imagine like there are riots in Hell's Kitchen. Harlem's okay right now, but there are riots in Hell's Kitchen. But it's always all of Gotham is fucked.
I'm not gonna disagree with you in theory, except for the fact that that's always what Gotham is like. I mean, if you want to provide a logical explanation for it, Gotham is an island. Like, imagine all of New York, like Carolyn is saying, stuck into Manhattan. Like, there's no Bronx, there's no Queens, there's no Brooklyn.
On the map in the season finale, it basically looks like you cut Manhattan in half and with the park, and that's their map of Gotham. You can actually see it because they look it over it, when they're trying to track some bombs down.
Yeah, it's a big city, but it's just this one borough. And again, we're getting into big spoilers here, but they set up the No Man's Land storyline in the very last episode.
Remind me of the No Man's Land storyline.
That's back in the 90s. Basically, like all of Gotham, the bridges get blown up. It's like what happens in Dark Knight Rises, where they did a very similar thing. And so Gotham is left on its own. They have to fend for themselves. It becomes literally no man's land. They're also setting up this storyline called 0 Hour that sort of played with some of the similar ideas, but took place at the beginning of Batman before he took on the Bat costume. So that's what they're setting up at the end there. But that only works if it's not like, if it is completely self-sustaining, and that's pretty much it. And that's what Gotham is. Like how, I'll just throw out to you how boring, I mean, not boring, but it would be weird if it was like, Midtown Gotham is exploding, and then you cut to downtown Gotham. We're like, well, that sounds bad.
I would love that, but like I see why they don't. But just when everything is always at a 10,
but it isn't. I mean, the more you watch it, there's stuff that happens like in the Narrows that doesn't happen with the upper crust. Court of Owls comes in, and you're like, wait. And some things are going on behind the scenes that are heavy duty, that are not. They're trickling down to the lower class, but you're not seeing the whole picture until you start to see it. So they do dial it up. The first season there's a lot of tense, but they do start to balance the levels as you move through it.
I will grant that. I guess the episodes you guys had me watch were just like the ones where it's all popping off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
yeah,
fair.
100%. And the other part of it is that just in terms of drama, like actual drama, most of it is reserved for Gordon and Bruce. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones with the main dramatic storylines that have, because they have big places that they need to go at the end of this. One of them is going to be Batman. The
other's going to grow a mustache.
God damn it. I have asked him about that so many times.
They better do it. They
Jesus
better
Christ.
fucking do it.
What answer did he
It's
tell
driving
you?
me
Nothing?
insane. Every single time. Like, I've interviewed this cast dozens of times at this point, and every time that I've talked to Ben McKenzie, I've been like, hey, one last question for you. When are you going to grow a mustache? And he's like, well, I don't think we need it for the character.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
we
an
do. That's his
essential
thing.
part. Glasses and mustaches.
Just at the end, when we end it, we need him like to just have the beginnings. And we need a little. He picks
know,
up. He
I
What I want to
needs
see,
his
I want to
glasses.
see a cartoon style where he's like, "Well, I guess I'm commissioner now."
I want it to be the last shot of the series where it's like that reveal at the end of all these superhero movies where it's like, oh, he's finally wearing the mantle. Just Gordon looks up from behind his desk. And mustache.
But we're getting there. I mean, we just had the spotlight for the first time in the end of this finale. It's not the bat symbol, but it's up in the sky and it's like a ray of hope. And Bruce and Gordon are on the roof, and it's like it's the beginning of what will be the bat symbol, but it's not there yet.
Here's the thing. With this show, I'm glad that it's ending at 5 seasons, and I don't mean that like good. It's fucking like, I mean, when it comes to prequel to superhero story, you can't do what Smallville did and go like 11 seasons. That's gross.
Also, they have to stop before he becomes Batman. Like,
Yes.
they know that though.
Actually, I was hoping when the show first came out that every season was going to time jump forward 5 years, and like we were going to get closer and closer, and then we'd finally see Batman in there. And then I was so disappointed when we didn't.
So you don't think we should see Batman before the end
Well,
of the show?
I mean, like full Batman. We can see like the beginnings of Batman, the start of Batman, but not like full Batman off and doing his usual thing. You know what I mean?
So David Mazouz, who I think is great and has only grown over the course of the show.
By the way, side note, him and Alfred had a great conversation. I was on set because I do background extra work, and they had a great conversation on set. Just a side note. They're talking to each other, and David said to Alfred, he said, oh, I'm watching this great show called Skins on BBC. And Alfred's like, I was totally in season 4. And Bruce was like, no way. And Alfred's like, yeah, totally. So they're awesome to his people, but you can go on.
Yeah,
now.
no. They're great. I think like he doesn't have the physique for Batman, but I do
he
think
doesn't.
You mentioned Smallville. Even though I did not like Smallville at all, I still tuned in for the finale. I was like, well, you got to see him in the Superman suit. You got to put him in. And then that last shot of Smallville is him opening up his shirt, and you see the symbol, but you never see Tom Welling dressed as Superman.
Which is the worst.
It's the worst thing. And even though I think like clearly he's too young to be Batman at this point, we have to see him dressed as Batman before the show ends.
Well, they started to. They put him in some body armor.
Yeah.
We've gotten like some whiffs of Batman. The thing I made you watch too, like, or encouraged you to watch, or I'm glad you watched.
Yeah.
He has that hallucinogenic dream, and there's like the Batman guy in his head, and you get like, oh my God, it's the beginnings. Because we want that. We need that payoff, or it's not worth it.
We really, really do.
But the mustache is the most important.
The mustache. Yes,
clearly.
absolutely. I feel like if it...
You feel like you like the show now?
Oh, yeah, you did it.
Okay.
Good job, everybody.
Wow, short
Yay!
podcast.
Gotham is saved. Oh, no, wait. Another thing happened. Uh-oh. Looks like everybody's... Red alert. Uh-oh. Call the commissioner.
Red alert.
I don't know, man. I'm
Crime never ends, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, but doesn't it get smarter?
It does get smarter, and if you watch the show, they get smarter.
Okay. I feel like the show, the way they do the show would make a lot more sense if it was on the CW, because it feels like a very CW-ified superhero show to me, but it just won't admit it.
I mean,
Like,
it's
does that
because
make
branding
sense?
isn't Fox own. Is that why? Isn't it like a owned property via Fox, and that's why it's on there?
Warner Brothers produces it
Okay.
and broadcasts it on Fox. But I think like I'm going to disagree with the CW-ness because it doesn't feel like a CW show to me, frankly. Like I was actually thinking about this weirdly earlier today, maybe just because I knew we were going to do the podcast. But if the CW had done it, it would have been a Bruce Wayne who was supposed to be like 16, but clearly was played by like a 23-year-old or
Fair.
something.
That's fair. And he would have
it-
made out with his teacher. And,
Yeah, it would have been a very different thing. And
I don't think it could have been as dark, too. I mean, everything on the
Yeah.
CW has a little bit of buoyancy, and Gotham wants to be, like, weighty and syrupy, and, like, it wants to give that weight, and it does as it starts to move on. Things start to matter more. Gordon starts to, like, realize he can't be the hero without doing some crime bad guy stuff. Like, he can't...
Crime bad guy.
Crime bad guy stuff, go! But he's not the hero. He wants to be the clean hero. He ends up, like, murdering people and, like, doing not nice things before he can become the true jaded Gordon, because Harvey warns him. Harvey's like, that's what you have to do, because Harvey's hooking up with Fish, who's a crime lord. And he's like, I don't have to. I can be a good cop. It's like, no, there's a lot of gray. And I think it does a good job of accepting that.
Wait, okay. So a couple questions. And this is definitely spoilers if we haven't gone there already. Is Fish Mooney dead again?
Yes.
Pretty much, yes.
She came back to life, and then she died again.
Didn't she come back to life like twice?
No,
Just
just the
once.
once.
Who else has come back to life on this show?
She did. Barbara Keene did.
The Riddler sort of died.
Yeah.
Yeah, Butch. Butch died
But
and
Butch,
came.
Butch had that lovely arc where he became
Solomon Grundy.
which
Oh,
Yeah,
he
it
was
was
Solomon
great.
Grundy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty. All right, that's pretty good.
It's great.
Penguin, one of the episodes I saw, he got shot in the chest and then fell into the river, and then he's fine. The next
Penguin
episode,
gets hurt a lot, and he comes back but injured, and that's
he
a
was
nice
shot in the chest and then fell into a river, and we watched him drown.
Can I? I mean, not to put fuel on the fire.
Yeah,
but
go
there's a
for it.
character. Have you seen any of the episodes with Sophia Falcone?
I saw one of them.
So she's great. She's played by Crystal Reed, who is on Teen Wolf, and she showed up this season. She's the daughter of Carmine Falcone. So she's sent to Gotham to kind of like help Jim Gordon get things under control because villains are going crazy and everybody's slaughtering everybody. And she, of course, is using this just as her plan to take over Gotham. She, at the end of one episode, gets shot directly in the middle of the forehead. And then by the end of the episode, they're like, well, she's in a coma. Which is but I think that gets towards what is so great about the show is somebody can get shot directly in the head and by the end of the episode be pretty much fine. I think that's great. You don't think that's
I want
great?
you to look at my face.
I can only see
I
half.
want you to see.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a reverse Batman I'm pulling right now.
Oh,
It is. My face is fallen because I am crestfallen by this show. So speaking of characters and death not meaning anything, wasn't Poison Ivy a little girl?
Yeah, but there's reasons for that. There were contract issues, and they did a really good job capturing when she changed. They also addressed the fact that she grew up quickly.
How explain this, because I first saw her in season 1 and she was a child younger than Bruce and Selena, and then season 4 she's like got a good 8 years on both of them.
so there are. So have you seen any of the episodes with Hugo Strange?
Yeah, I saw the
Okay.
one where he gets hit by both a freeze ray from Mr. Freeze and a fire blast from Firefly, and is up and fine 30 seconds later.
I don't understand how you can't love that show. That sounds great to me. So Hugo Strange.
I mean, you like cartoons. That's what
Yeah.
happens all the time.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When you make it a live action show, you can't do things that you have to ground it a little bit more in realism so you can earn the over the top.
Do you have to, though?
If
Yeah.
you want it to be good,
May I point you to a little movie called Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
that's different.
No, it's not.
That is literally bringing cartoons into the real world, not a realistic take on a cartoon character.
I'm going to disagree with you there. You can come
can,
on my
I'm right,
podcast, which is called I'm going to disagree with you there. So wait, we were talking about Hugo Strange. So Hugo Strange comes up with this formula that brings people back to life, but brings them back to life with weird superpowers. And one of those people, that's how Fish Mooney comes back to life. That's kind of how Butch comes back to life, sort of.
What's with
and-
his hand?
Oh, it gets
What's
chopped
his hand?
off.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that was a great.
That was awesome.
It was fantastic. He gets his head chopped off, and he gets a series of like increasingly ridiculous appendages, like a tiny little hammer.
And that feels very Adam Westy to me. It's just been like
Yeah.
that silly direction.
It's fantastic.
Go on.
I don't. All right. So Hugo Strange comes up with this formula, and there's a bunch of people that are infected by the formula. Fish Mooney puts together a team of them. One of them has the power to make people older by touching them, and he lightly brushes Ivy. Excuse me. Lightly brushes Ivy. She immediately falls away into the sewer, and when we see her next, she's much older. So they had a second actress playing that version of Ivy, and then Ivy spends the next several episodes trying to be a big deal in Gotham, but can't. Like, literally, she walks into scenes and people are like, Ivy, get out of here. And without saying a word, she leaves and is frustrated. So she decides, I got to do something to overpower myself, goes to the shop in Chinatown, drinks everything in the shop, and essentially goes into a chrysalis cocoon. And when she comes out, again, she's a different actress. And
Wow.
yeah, which again is crazy. An older actress, and now she really has the poison ivy powers. So she's finally become what she was
But
meant
at
to
first,
be.
she's a kid who, like, you know, has a difficult childhood, loses her parents, you know, is friends with Selena. Like, she starts there, and there's a reason she hates everybody. She's just out of nowhere, you know, like, I'm going to be a seductress. She went, oh, I can use my boobs and fuck with people who hurt me? Great. Which is, you know, I feel like a real direction to take someone in.
Fair. I get the villains are good. I don't know.
Yay! We made progress.
Wow, it's up to a 0? Is that the top of your scale?
No, you are so far from that, my friend. I just there are some. I just wish it was a little bit less ridiculous. Like it's always at a 10. Bring it down to like a 7 or an 8 for some episodes.
But sometimes it is. I mean, Bruce has a little arc where he goes like teenager wild, which is nice, and it's less intense because he's just like drinking and partying, and you're like, seriously, Bruce? And Alfred's like, Bruce, get your shit together. And he's like, I'm going to fire you, Alfred. And it gets like, you know, that's much lower than...
That's good. Meanwhile, in that, I think a season right before that, Riddler ties up Penguin to a car and then has a chain that has a frozen block of ice around it, like a literal frozen block of ice. I don't know how he got it down there, surrounding the chain, and when it melts, then the acid's going to fall on Penguin because revenge. Why?
See, I don't
Where did he get
understand.
the ice?
Would
it's
you-
a perfect rectangle.
Here's my question
Pa-
for you.
Free
You
only
would rather... So you have this world where eventually you have Batman, but right now, just in the world of Gotham, forgetting about the whole prequel nature of it, you have all these amazing, some of the best villains in literature all in one place. I don't know why you would have them just stand around and talk to each other most of the time. Or be
Not
like,
most of
let's
the
get
time.
together for coffee and
Some
see what's
of
going
the time.
on. There's plenty of dramatic things that go on. There's lots of romance subplots. There's lots of push and pull there in terms of who's in love with who and who wants to be with who.
There's some lady love going on. There's
Yeah.
definitely like a LGBTQ theme that's wonderful that
Wait,
they don't include in there.
So Riddler and Penguin, are they got a thing?
That was fans were mixed on that.
Okay.
I liked it. I thought they treated it well. It was, you know, the kill your gays trope, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of fans are very
Those of you that
antsy.
haven't heard of it, it's just basically the gay characters get killed off in a lot of genre TV and literature.
Yeah, and because of that, I think a lot of people are very antsy about treating LGBT romances badly.
Yeah.
But what I think Gotham did in a really interesting way is Penguin was in love with Riddler, but Riddler is straight and rejected him. And yeah, it didn't turn out the way that fans wanted to, but you know, that happens sometimes. And they did treat it responsibly. And true to Penguin, he went nuts when he was rejected.
But he would get nuts anytime he didn't get anything he
Exactly.
wanted. I can't have a thing I want. I'll go berserk. Doesn't matter. Love, money. It's just his way.
Yeah. So there's that. And then at the same time, you have Barbara and I'm forgetting her actual name.
Me too. I was thinking the same
Tigress?
thing.
I mean, her villain name is Tigress, but I don't remember.
Wait,
Theo
the one with
Gallivant's
the-
sister.
Yeah, Theo
The
Gallivant.
one with the whip?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the two of them are in a relationship, and they're kind of just in a relationship. Like it just picks up one episode. They're already in a relationship, and then it's ongoing. And then they have different relationships with other people, and sometimes they get back together. But it's one of the nice things that's built into the tapestry of the show is that LGBT romance is no big deal. It's just there.
Okay, points for that. But like, I don't know. Why am I still getting so hung up on this show?
We'd like to know. We'd like to solve that for you.
It feels like such a wasted opportunity to me.
Okay,
Like,
what would you like it to be?
Here's what I would like. Okay, here's one thing. I'd like there to be actual stakes because I don't believe that any of the characters actually die when they always come back. I don't believe. Also, how much fucked up shit can happen to Bruce Wayne before he becomes Batman that the entire city sees? So that when Batman finally shows up, they're like, come on, that's definitely
have you
Bruce.
seen The Color Purple?
No. Where are
Okay.
you going with this one?
I am. All right. So the thing is, people are awful, and they are in the real world. This just adds extra stuff. Like in The Color Purple, a myriad of really awful things happen to people who don't deserve it on repeat. So the human condition is that tons of awful shit can happen to somebody before they get to be who they become. And sometimes they don't even survive. That's sort of the point. And then you add in the extra stakes of like wealth, social responsibility, the Gotham nature of like magic and sort of the city he's in, and you get Batman, you get Gotham. Like there is a need for that, and it can. I mean, if you watch any movies that are really intense about like abuse, Lifetime specials, that's Bruce. He gets all that, but it's like the Gotham version.
No, I'm not debating that. But I'm saying like when you do a show where it's all about like the origin of the villains of Batman, and a lot of them are like, "I'm coming for you, Bruce," and like they do things to him in front of the world. When Batman finally does show up, it's not going to take a commissioner of the GCPD to go like, I bet that's Bruce.
Sure. Here's two things that make the show more enjoyable to me, because I definitely have comic book brain, so I get stuck on things like that, like this doesn't match the comic book continuity, and it doesn't.
But it's like an Elseworld. That's
exactly.
It's an
yes,
that's
exactly what I was getting towards.
And I will say DC is at its best when it's doing Elseworld.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So if you think about it that way, if you think about it as an AU and not this has to match up to the continuity, and in fact, if you don't worry about it matching up to the continuity at all, that makes it a lot better and a lot easier to watch. And then the other thing is,
that was a really good point, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
I was hoping you'd bring that up.
yeah.
So same.
The other thing is like, I like what David Mazouz does on the show. I think he has gotten better over time. I think they've figured out what to do with him. But if you almost put a blinder over any of the Batman stuff or the Bruce Wayne stuff and kind of forget about that a little bit, think of it as like, okay, this is a separate thing. This is another train that's running while everything else is going on. It also, to me, makes the show a lot more enjoyable because they realized after the first season, yeah, we're going to have to wait on Batman because that's part of the promise of the show. We can't have him suddenly come in, but screw it with everybody else. Just let him become the Riddler. Let him become the Penguin. She's Catwoman. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Let's bring in all of these other villains. Just have fun and go crazy with it.
And also let them vie for power, which is even better to watch.
That I dig. I do like how the power struggle works in this show. Okay.
But Bruce is kind of at the top because Bruce has all the money, and that's kind of what most of them want. I mean, like, he's in there too because he's loaded. It's not just because he's Bruce, it's because he's lots of money, and that plays a big part in it. It's interesting, a little bit of a class commentary in here as well. Because Penguin started off with nothing, and that's part of his journey.
Started from the bottom, now he here.
You seem bereft.
I am a little bit because, like, when the show was first coming out, I was so on board. I'm like, yeah, let's do Baby Batman. But, like, I guess it just feels like a cock tease a little bit. Like,
from I will partially agree with you from the Batman angle, but from everything else, they've given you everything else you want from Gotham. And going back to your point from earlier, Carolyn, it's about the city. Like, again, they made it not Batman Begins, but earlier, but very quickly lean into this idea of this tapestry of Gotham, all these different areas of Gotham, all these people vying for control, like you're saying. I mean, I'm basically repeating your points at this point, but that's what it focuses on. It focuses on the city and what happens to the city and how Gotham becomes what we know it's going to become. Not what Batman becomes, but what the city becomes. That it becomes this place that, in a weird way, I mean, I don't know if you found this, but I feel like the show has actually moved away from the shades of gray. Like, particularly if you look at Gordon, really is the Batman of the show more than anything.
I don't think he's a good character.
Well, but
I think he's the weakest character on the show.
Sometimes
you haven't got on the full journey with him. He starts off there, and he really does hang out there a bit. But as he starts doing things that are not as clear, as he figures out what's right and wrong, really, and at some point, his ex says to him, he says, you can come over to my side and do stuff illegally, like Robin Hood it with me. And he's like, I don't. He has to make big choices about like what's the real right thing to do. Is it the law or is it the Robin Hood right thing to do? And he starts having to develop a true sense
Is it the Robin Wright thing to do?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Quick question, jumping back. So one of the episodes you had me watch had a Bruce Wayne doppelganger for some reason.
Yeah.
Is that Hush?
No. Tommy Elliott.
It's not Tommy Elliott.
No.
Fuck.
No. Tommy Elliott is a different character who shows up and hasn't become Hush, right? Yeah.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Hush is, for those of you that are uninitiated, Hush is a really, really great Batman villain.
Yeah. So I think they had use a little bit of Hush, but really it's just a doppelganger Bruce.
Do we know who he actually is?
He was created in a lab by Hugo Strange as part of the Indian Hill experiments.
I wish you could see Alex's face right now because his veneer is cracking as he realizes the thing. It looks like he realizes that he just got caught with his hand in the cookie jar?
No. One of my favorite thing about genre shows is trying to explain the insane, intricate continuity of things.
Because you always sound like a crazy person.
Yeah, 100%.
Always.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll say this show is better than like fucking Arrow, but
yeah,
or at least not Arrow's second season. That was great, but everything else.
I used to watch Once Upon a Time every week. I hated Once Upon a Time.
Well, because it was supposed to be Fables, and then they couldn't do Fables.
God.
There's a reason. There's a rights reason.
Oh, it drove me crazy. But one of my favorite things about Once Upon a Time was coming into work on Monday morning because we had to write about Once Upon a Time for work. And two of us watched Once Upon a Time and nobody else watched Once Upon a Time, and we'd recap the plots of Once Upon a Time for everybody, and it was the most fun because it'd be like, well, they took the heart out of Snow White. They're like, how was she alive? And we're like, well, because it wasn't her true love heart. They had to take her true love heart and hide it in the tree of knowledge and then head down the fairy tale. Anyway, so that was my expression there, is I live for that.
So maybe I'm not wrong. Maybe you're just desensitized to it and you're on the payroll.
No. Well, I will say that they really do a great job as far as detail oriented. I can actually. I'm on a lot of sets all the time. I just am. I do a lot of background extra work. So I've been on a bunch of movies, just seeing what they do. I'm just absorbing stuff. Gotham really cares. They're super detail oriented. Every tiny piece is like intentionally placed. The costumes, like even the locations they seek out, they really care about creating a world that is recognizable but isn't. They really, really care. That's why Gordon's cell phone isn't a new cell phone, but isn't a super old cell phone. It's in between. They really want to make it a different world, but a world that you can recognize. They just care so much about it. Even I do background extra work, and my character, I can't be like a punker because I was an upscale person. So every time I come back, I have to be an upscale person because it would fuck with continuity if the background extra is suddenly a punker and used to be like some upscale lady. They care. They just do that. The people working on it are really dedicated to creating this world that isn't real in a way that makes it feel real, even though it's legitimately insane.
So, sorry, go ahead.
So they care. That's great. So why don't the writers? Because it feels like a lot of the times the plot or something happens, it's in the nick of time, seems to show up in the script a lot. But
that's every superhero thing ever.
I don't think I've seen more of it outside of a CW show than here on Gotham.
Well, again, I mean, what would you want to happen? That everything goes amok in Gotham, the city is on fire, and 15 minutes in, Commissioner Gordon's like, I figured it out. And then there's another half an hour, they were like, do you want to get some coffee, or what do you want to do?
I would like.
Let's go down to the downtown where nobody cares about anything.
But not even then. Like, okay, so Penguin gets pulled out of the acid in the nick of time. Riddler, when he has Bullock on that chair and he's throwing all those riddles at Lucius Fox, last rope snaps in the nick of time. All these things happen in the nick of time, and I feel like if you just did one thing that went off before I thought it would, or did that more often, then these stakes of these countdowns would matter.
Okay, well, recently with the bomb scenario, they caught the bombs. I don't remember. It was a little ahead of the nick of time. They actually figured stuff out, not right before. They actually had a little bit of lead time, and it didn't matter because there were other things in motion that were bad. But they do play with it. It's not always like the very last second. And sometimes people lose a hand, and sometimes people lose other things, but they don't solve things in the nick of time. There's like problems.
Okay, I like that you said that it doesn't always come down to the very last second, because one of the episodes you had me watch had a bomb underneath what is it, Indian Hill, and it did come down to the last second. There was a timer on it, and whenever a timer on a show ends at 1 second, and we just stopped it. I'm always like, but fuck
again,
you.
That's a dramatic thing. Like, there's nothing dramatic about it ending 3 minutes and 54 seconds before the bomb goes off.
No, but it gives a level of depth. It lends itself to
you can really feel for the bomb.
You know what? Yes. The bomb never got to realize its full potential. I empathize with that.
Yeah. There's actually, after Gotham ends, they're doing a show that's focusing on the bomb and what led up to it.
And a lot of times...
Bomb's parents got killed in
cul-de-sac.
A lot of times bombs actually do go off. Like there's the nick of time, but there's a handful of times where like everything does go wrong and horribly wrong and nobody saves anybody. It does happen. Like people seriously get killed in a way that doesn't get prevented a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this before, but there have been, particularly at the beginning of season 2, I think every episode for several episodes in a row, they had a fully stocked GCPD. Somebody would come in, slaughter everybody in the GCPD, and then by the next episode, they'd somehow manage to re-recruit the GCPD and then kill everybody again. And they
great benefits, terrible job.
Yeah, absolutely. It got to the point where I was like, why would you have this job? Clearly you're going to die. But to your point, they won. Like the villains repeatedly win in almost every scenario. Like the big plots, sure, that's drama. Yeah, Gordon's eventually going to stop stuff. But like to talk specifically about the season finale, they lose. Jeremiah, who is Jerome's twin, has this plan. He goes through the no man's land thing. He distracts I'm forgetting the exacts, but you just watched it,
I
right?
did.
Yeah. So he distracts them with something else. And he's like, oh, you thought you found out.
I'm an engineer. I have contingency plans. He's a brilliant, brilliant super genius. And he's like, I actually prepped for this. So his original plan wasn't going to work out. So he had a backup that was also really brilliant. And they were like, oh, crap. Because they fixed the original plan. Oh, great. They don't fix the backup plan. It fucks shit up. All the bridges go down. Like, Bruce has to leave Selena with Alfred. And he's like, take care of her. But I have to be here. And Alfred's like, this is my charge. But also like, I have to weirdly respect him because he's turning into a man. And he's got a weird journey there. It's really cool.
So yeah.
Fine. So okay, so sometimes bad things happen.
It very often, I think. I mean, I understand the episodes that we had you watch. There is a lot of like season finale or mid-season finale nature of it, but very often they ended in a place where like Gotham is, I can curse, right?
Yeah, man.
Fucked. It's totally fucked. And almost every episode where even if they solve something, if they're like, great, we stopped the Riddler has already murdered 50 to 60 people at that point. So you got to look at that in terms of the cost of it.
Okay, I can give you that. I can give you sometimes, I can give you that. I didn't watch all of the stakes or all the stakes when they were lower. So those times it's not always out of 10.
Sometimes Selena just like steals shit and Bruce is like, Selena, really return it. And it's great because you have other much bigger things going on. But sometimes Selena, especially early Selena, she just wants to, make money and survive. And then you have to her later and she's like, I'm an adult. How do I become an adult with any parental guidance? There are smaller things, but they're interspersed with bigger things.
But the thing that I cannot forgive is that you got to admit, a lot of the times the writing is just fucking lazy. Like the episode where Jerome kind of takes over the city and it's anarchy everywhere. And I believe it was Bullock was talking to the doctor.
Strange.
No.
Lucius.
No.
Morena Baccarin.
Yeah.
Star of Deadpool and Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Yes, and Firefly. She's always great.
Yeah, her name's Leslie Tompkins on the show.
Yeah.
Leslie Tompkins. That's
or
the
Doc,
character name.
or the Doc if
Doc.
she's in the Narrows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and so I was right. All right. She is asked, do you know where Jerome could be? She's like, I'm sorry, I don't know. When he woke up, all he said was like, I'm going to go kill Bruce Wayne. I don't know what. He's off to kill Bruce Wayne. Why didn't you tell them that at the beginning? Why didn't you immediately go, hey, guys, heads up. Somebody better get to the Wayne Manor because the psychopath that stapled his face back on is going after him.
Do you think that she cares whether or not Bruce lives or dies? She's less of an interest in it than other people.
I think that she's a doctor and a cop, basically. And when you're told, hey, I'm going to go kill this person, don't go tell anybody now. Except you don't bother with the don't go tell anybody now. And she just opts to do that for freebie.
You're assuming priorities. And the thing about Gotham is there's a lot of floating priorities.
I'm assuming common sense.
Priorities
No,
are a big thing in Gotham.
She's right.
Like some people's priority is like to get bagel bites, and some people's priority is like take over the world. And they shift in Gotham all the time. And they're sometimes really serious, and sometimes it's like make money, and sometimes it's like get revenge, and it shifts all the time.
Particularly, I'm forgetting when exactly this happened in the timeline, but particularly for Leslie Tompkins, a lot of her priorities are tied up with Jim Gordon and how she feels about Jim Gordon and whether she wants to fuck him over or not. So I don't know. I don't remember this specific instance, but that might have something to do with it.
Also, just as a story clarification for me, so I know that she was with Jim Gordon, and then she was with a guy named Mario, who I'm assuming was a bad guy.
He was actually like a really decent human being. He happened to be the son of a crime lord, but the classic kind, the mafia kind. They're like kind of bad. Penguin always idolized them, which is why Penguin tries to go in that direction. But he gets hit by an awful virus, and Jim has to kill him, and she hates Jim.
Why does Jim have to kill him?
The virus turns him into like a violent monster. It's like a Hulk virus gone bad.
Okay.
And there's no way to control it. And he's coming after her, and Gordon's like, I fucking don't want to do this. Oh my God, I don't want to do this. I'm going to ruin her life. And she hates him, and he knows she's going to hate him, but he saves her life. And then she like hates Jim. Obviously, she hates Jim because he killed her fiance, and you can't come back from that. And she feels like it's ex revenge. It's just awful. Yeah. There's good reason she hates Jim. She doesn't always, but. And then she gets the virus, and shit gets very complicated.
Yeah, it feels like a soap opera.
Well, that part's supposed to.
Yeah.
You don't want drama in your Batman?
No,
you just
I
want
do
all the
want
bombs
drama
not
in
going
my
off at one second.
You just want a guy who growls like this.
I mean, yeah. I want a different voice in my Cape Crusader than in my Billionaire Playboy. Yes.
But
I'm just trying to get all the drama out of my life.
You guys are talking to me like I'm the crazy one. You guys are like, no, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. Come love it.
But everybody, I mean, like, they love Looney Tunes. There's plenty of crazy things out there
Yeah.
people watch and they love. So, like, this isn't a category. This is from a comic book, Aaron. From a comic book.
I know. When it comes to like, I know I've said this on the show multiple times, but like when it comes to turning TV shows or movies from comic books, like you get one thing. Like, okay, a lot of people in this city are crazy. That's your one thing with Gotham. It's not time doesn't matter and everything is just there's a bunch of convenient deus ex machinas that save the day.
To the point she was just making, it's hyper real. Like it's a different tone than any of the other superhero shows that are on any of the other comic book shows.
Fair.
And they go for that tone. Like they are going for live action adult cartoon, and I think they're nailing it. Like you mentioned the CW
and they pull in
shows.
traditional film noir, which they don't do in the other stuff. You get that sort of really grittiness that you want from something noirish in Gotham. You don't get that on any other of the shows out right now.
I mean, Black Lightning.
Black Lightning is pretty gritty in its realism, but it still is a CW show. It's still a network drama.
Yeah.
That's not what Gotham's going for. Like if it was animated, if it was one of the DC animated things, I don't think anybody would blink an eye.
I actually would not.
Right.
I
But
would give
because
it a
it's
lot
live
more
action,
credit, yeah.
I think it does get a lot of what you're talking about. And I think if you make that separation and instead think about it as like, these almost are cartoons played by real people and give it the same respect that we gave Batman the Animated Series, for example, which is phenomenal and totally different. But I think that's what they're pulling on there. That's what they're trying to make it. They're trying to give it this insanity that seeps through into the comic books where anything can happen at any time and put that on screen.
Okay.
But they're trying to give it a little bit of weight, which is hard because these characters are like 2D. Giving it any weight is hard. With all the we get you, we hear you. Like giving it any weight with all the craziness going on, everything that's really difficult with anything.
Yeah.
So they try. They can't because there's a lot of people coming back to life, but they try to make things matter. I mean, Penguin's revenge. I didn't exactly see that coming because Butch is actually his ally for so long and so many twists and turns. When he kills Butch at like the final season 4 finale, you're like, really? You're still mad they killed your mom how many seasons ago? That's what's been going on in the background despite everything else? That's what you've been holding on to? Because he takes all these journeys with other people.
And then Butch comes back as Solomon Grundy?
No, well, Butch already died and came back, and Penguin brings him back to like because Solomon Grundy's rotting and gross. They reset him back to Butch. They have to bring in Hugo Strange. It's complicated. He goes along a whole journey to get Butch back to normal so he can be with Theo Gallivant's sister, whose name I never remember, Tabitha. And they're like, I love you. And then he shoots him. And Tabby's like, why? And he's like, because you killed my mom. And I'm never going to forget that. Now you're going to suffer like I suffered. And it's like, oh, whoa.
Tabitha's the one with the whip?
Yeah. And she's
then
been in love with Butch forever.
And then he kills her too?
Nope. She has to suffer.
No, she gets to live the same way that she killed his mom and he has had to live with that. Now she has to live knowing that Butch is dead.
And Butch is legit dead now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your voice went up an octave when you said that.
I mean, who knows? I mean, anything.
But he's really, I mean, sometimes they present
Yeah.
people like maybe you can come back. They have not presented him like maybe you can come back.
Right.
If you're drowning in water, it's like, but you see him bleeding out the center of his chest, and it's like Sophia Calpone is the only person who got shot in a very obvious spot. Some are a little more vague. If they cut away, you're in water, like
Right.
maybe you lived. Butch is like,
I guess what I mean is like they have a formula built in the show where they
Yeah.
can bring people back to life, so anybody could be brought back to life. But I think with a show like this, you have to assume, all right, at this moment, Butch is dead. And
The moment
that's
is what matters, not
Exactly.
long.
Yeah.
and it might carry more weight if they keep him dead. They do pay attention. If it matters if they come back, they'll make them come back. Like it's a weight related thing. Sometimes somebody needs to stay dead because it matters, because it carries weight in the current season. If they don't need to stay dead, they tend to come back. But if they do need to stay dead, they stay dead.
How many characters have stayed dead? And it does not. Jerome does not count because if he's the same actor and basically the same
No.
character,
He's a different person. He's really a different
Yeah.
person.
I'm still going to say that doesn't count. How many?
Something we haven't talked about, and I feel like I'm definitely like, I don't know what the expression is, poking a bear or something like that.
Yeah, you're poking a bear or something.
Cameron Monaghan is great. He's arguably
He's fantastic.
whatever
as the
you
Joker.
call him. Yeah, he's arguably the best Joker maybe of all time, I think.
I mean,
Like-
Mark Hamill, but he's up
Mark
there.
Hamill's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was great on the animated series. But I think in terms of live action, like Heath Ledger is phenomenal, but that was a very different character. This is probably through all the iterations that he goes through, the truest representation of the Joker on screen. And he is excellent. So however you bring him back, however he dies and comes back, I think it's worth it because what he brings to the show is excellent.
I will agree that he's really, really good. Like the episode season 4 that you guys had me watch where he's trying to get Penguin to
Oh
remember
yeah,
who he
that's
was.
a good Arkham Asylum little
Yeah.
tip off.
That was a great moment. Like the whole make me laugh bit. I loved that. I don't know. It reminds me of that show Heroes that I feel like sucked because it didn't have any stakes. Like no one stayed dead, or if they did, it was
Heroes
a
sucked
couple
because
people
it
see-
sucked. I think. Like
Yeah.
I think it was not a good show. That if anything, I think it had the opposite problem from Gotham, where it took itself too seriously all the time.
True. I'd rather this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Gotham is not a great show, but it is a fun show. And it has moments.
It
Of
depends
being
on
very,
what your
very good.
definition of a great show would be. Like, what would it take for a show to be great for you?
Actual stakes.
I don't even know how to address that. Buffy has actual stakes.
Yeah. Buffy was great.
I meant like literal ones that you can stab people with in the heart.
I wish I had one right now.
Not to sell you down the river, but I can agree with that. Like,
Okay.
I think I clearly like it better than you. I really enjoy the show. I'm glad that I've stuck with it this long. I'm glad that I stuck with it like.
But
through
I know you like things, Aaron, that don't have. I mean, I know you like Adventure Time. Does Adventure Time have stakes? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of shows that have.
Steven Universe does.
Even then, do you really count everything? But he resets. Everybody's like not a real person because they go back into gems again. You really want to play this game? Like, stakes are a thing that you like. Things that have less than you do, and everything's a 10 in Steven Universe. They have a handful of like we're chilling, but everything's like space gems. It's their.
Yeah, but then the emotional weight is really good.
the thing that I will. So
Steven
what
Universe has more emotional weight than Gotham ever did.
I don't know about that. I watch both. I'm with you on that because they both have like little boys and adult people doing things. I think Gotham.
Has Gotham ever made you cry?
Yeah.
Really?
There's some Alfred Bruce scenes that are really tender. Because Alfred doesn't know how to be Bruce's dad, and he's not Bruce's dad. So
I do like the Alfred Bruce scenes, like the scene where Alfred was teaching him how to throw knives. That was badass. That was like my favorite.
There's a camping scene, or not camping, when he goes like to do something his father always did, and Bruce like walks off, and Alfred's like, "What do I do? Because I'm not really his dad." Those are beautiful, tender moments, but they're contrasted because they're stuck living in this like harsh reality. They don't have the luxury of Steven Universe land where there's like a beach and they can chill. They don't have that. They're stuck in like Gem War time, when like Lars is on the spaceship, Steven Universe talk, they're stuck in that. They can't leave. They don't get to go chill in Beach Town with their dad. They don't have a safe spot to go to.
It is weird to hear you say that there's no stakes, because arguably Gotham has the highest stakes of any show at any given time. Like
Explain yourself.
so people can die and they can come back, but if things go wrong or tip in one direction of Gotham is gone. Like, it is burned to the ground. And that's the stakes in any given episode. It's not like, oh, we got to save this person. You know, it's not. I was watching some medical drama that's coming up, and they were like, "We got to save one life. One life is every life." You know, that's what every medical drama is like. With Gotham, it's like, "Hey, if we don't stop this guy, everybody in Gotham is going to go insane and throw themselves off a rooftop and die, and it's just going to keep happening every single day for the rest of our lives." That's what we have to do.
They basically have to prevent the Titanic from sinking all the time. Like, they're risking the lives of babies and children and married people all the time. Everyone is at risk because it's that bad.
And people, there's a cavalier attitude towards life because ultimately the villains don't care. Like, they'll shoot random dude who's standing there and then another random dude.
They have no regard for life. It almost is like a commentary on terrorism in that way. Yeah, it's heavy. If you really think about it.
Since we're trying to get me to like this show, I think if I can skip season 2 and just get right to where the villains are starting to get really good.
But you don't want to know how the villains became who they are. You don't care about their backstory.
I do. I care about that a lot, but I just don't want to deal with the other bullshit or the over-the-top Harvey Bullock character that is just beating me over the head with it. Get it? He's the bad cop.
Sure. I think if you want to watch the last season and then probably, though I don't know, but probably this upcoming season, that might be good. And the reason I say that might be good is because at this point in this season, even though he's conflicted and even though he's dealing with a lot of stuff, Gordon is finally Commissioner Gordon in all but name. You know, he is the moral compass of the show going forward. And that's where he needs to be. Harvey Bullock is Harvey Bullock. Like, a lot of times the show has shoved him to the side or not known what to do with him. Now that Gordon is in charge and they haven't had to deal with like another random captain or anything like that, Bullock can finally be his right-hand man and they can go off and do their buddy cop thing together, which is a lot of fun.
And we needed Bullock to be in charge for a little bit to realize how terrible it is when people like that are in charge of things. They should never be allowed. We needed that because Gordon was like the whole time like, oh no, this is bad. And it was bad. It was important to have that as a reminder. Like, these people should never really be in charge of shit.
Yeah. So you finally have you have all the pieces in place in this last season to set up for the final season of the show, where the only thing really missing at this point is Batman. That's it.
I'm intrigued by the final season. I'll give you that.
But what you might need to do, and what I did with Deep Space Nine, actually, I started in the middle of Deep Space Nine at the Trouble with Tribbles episode. It's where I started. Or it's a Tribble tribute episode. And I went through the end and came back to the beginning. And if I had started at DS9 at the beginning, I would have been like, fuck this show. Because the first season is like slow and weird.
Okay.
You might need to go forward and then loop around at the beginning again to appreciate it, because you're going to get what you want up front, and then the stuff you don't like as much, you're like, oh, here's the backstory for the people I already know and love.
Yeah, because I was enjoying that season 4 episode, so maybe I can. Okay, all right. If I'm allowed to do that,
you are. You can watch anything any way you want. I love Deep Space Nine, but I had to start in the middle and not at the beginning.
Well, you can't watch anything any way you want because, like, some things you absolutely need to watch from the beginning. Like, Adventure Zone is a podcast you need to listen to from the beginning and just bear with it.
But you know these characters. You know Batman. You know the arcs. You're not going to be surprised by anybody because you know who all the villains. There's already groundwork. So if you watch from the middle, you know these people. You generally know what you're in for.
Okay.
You know.
So if we start with me at a -6, I suppose I could have it on the background, maybe have a drink or a smoke of something that makes things better when you smoke it. I'd put it at a -3.
Wow.
It's tolerable. It's fine. It can be fine and annoying, but if I skip those first few seasons and just enjoy the villains, like, and enjoy great Joker, because I'm not going to call him anything else. He's the Joker. Fuck you. He's the Joker. I'm not under a rights dispute, so I get to do that. And I get to see a fully realized Riddler, because I do like him as the Riddler. Okay. All right. I can sometimes enjoy this show, even though it will annoy me. There are definitely going to be elements of hate watching.
I think you just have to accept that it's not going to be what you want it to be, and just take it for what it is. It's like dating somebody. You want them to be one way, but they just are who they are, and you have to accept them as they are.
Ooh.
You do. Because if you try to change him and want to be somebody else, it's not going to work.
I can make him so much. I can make him so much better if I can just tweak these things about his personality.
And then they're not the same person anymore. Oh,
You're totally right. We've talked about that a lot over the course of the podcast, but everybody comes to the show being like, why isn't he Batman? Batman.
Batman.
It's not about Batman. Batman is the smallest part of the show.
Literally, he's very tiny.
Yeah, and,
He's gotten taller.
Jim Gordon, he's actually rather short. He's a tiny
Yeah, I'm
man.
not crazy about the casting for Jim Gordon.
No, but he's great. I mean, but he's not tall.
What is he British or something? There's something off with his voice. It seems. Is that his actual voice?
Yeah, it's his actual voice.
Yeah.
Something about also everybody on the show has so much gravitas.
The Lucius Fox is also one of my favorite.
I love
Lucius Fox is good.
Every
Lucius-
single
I dug
time he
him.
talks, his voice, just like the straightforward way, he's like, "Hello." I was not.
I had a super lovely one. I was playing chess on one of the episodes, and I thought I really had to play. Apparently, you didn't, but I played the whole time seriously because I thought I had to because I'm really into the show. And I was like, "Oh my god, I get to play chess like Gotham!" And Lucius watched me play chess, and I had this really meta moment. I'm like, "Wow, Lucius Fox from the Batman universe is watching me play chess," and it's not real, but being there, they treat it like it is, and it would feel real if we had a universe where we had magic and I wonder if we were like in the Middle East with all the stuff going on, if it would feel more real if there was a show about that. You know what I mean? Like, we're not surrounded by this all the time.
You could probably speak to this way more than I can, but they film in a lot of real places in New York, which I think is kind of awesome for a show like that. Like, you would not expect that they'd be filming outside in the city in alleyways all the time because it doesn't really look like New York. Like, they make it look like Gotham.
I will give you that.
Really
it does
impressive.
not look like New York. Yeah.
But they film all over the city. I've been like ballrooms. There's only a handful of sets. Some of the interiors, like the Bruce Mansion and the Narrows, where they're like punching each other, or like Penguin's Club, which I got to hang out in. And I was like fanning out. I was like, oh my god, I'm in the ice camp. Yeah, they film all over the city, and it's really awesome because they're really smart about it. You want to recognize it, but you also don't. And that's sort of, maybe you want to recognize it more. Maybe you want to see.
I think I want to see more elements of stuff I know. Yeah, okay, fair. So now that I'm seeing the villains I like showing up and fully realized, I'm enjoying it more. All right, fine, fuck it. -3. Good job, I guess.
Thanks.
We tried really hard.
You guys did really, really good, and I was.
And maybe you'll change your mind once it's completed. Maybe
the last season will turn me around into positive numbers.
I feel, without doing something terrible to myself, I think the last season is going to be really good for a lot of people, particularly those people like you that are like, "Where's the Batman?" Because my impression was he is basically going off to be Batman at this point.
He is. I mean, he's basically in Gotham. All the bridges are down. Alfred has left him. He's with Jim on the roof being like, and Jim's like begrudging. He's like, "I didn't call for you. Like, you're a fucking kid." And he's like, "I'm here to help and I'm not going anywhere." And Gordon has to be like, "Okay.
All right. So I need to chill out a little bit and just enjoy the craziness of Gotham.
Stop trying to change it."
I know. I can accept it for who it is. I can find the power. While I'm looking for that power, Carolyn, do you have anything to plug?
Nothing to plug. Just be nice and be open-minded. Really, you can try to find me on Twitter at Carolyn De Melo, and I don't post anything really entertaining. But you could look for me anyways if you were so interested.
Alex, how about you?
Oh man, I wish I had an aphorism like that. I don't. You can check me out also on Twitter at @Zalben, or come to my regular live show at the Pit Loft, Comic Book Club Live. It's every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. and totally free.
And I've been, and it's awesome.
And I've been a guest on it, and it's really, really great. I've also been to it and on it. It's a wonderful show.
Oh, thank you guys.
You're very welcome. And you guys have been going for a while now.
Like almost 13 years, yeah. We're going to eventually make our way to being old enough to be Batman.
I would like to plug, as always, You Are Not Alone, an uplifting show about depression. The next one is Monday, June 4th, this Monday at 10:30 at the Magnet Theater. Also, go to the Magnet Theater every Thursday night at 5:30 for the Magnet Mixer, which I host. Also, magnettheater.com, classes and shows in improv, sketch, acting, musical improv, puppy raising, snack looking adding.
I don't know what any of that is.
A couple of those last ones were lies.
Very excited about them.
Those were lies. Also, if you leave a review on iTunes, or you shout me out on Instagram or Twitter and all those at Don't Mind Podcast, I will say something nice about you, including Ryjath90. I like that they finally, after 89 other tries, they nailed it on the Ryjaths. Also, Richard Bacula. I like that you're blatantly Dracula, but good cover. Good cover. Also, you can find me at Hey, it's Aaron Gold on all the things, or email me at don'tmindpodcast@gmail.com. Guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I feel like the villains won right now. You're not villains, but I feel like the villains won in the war for my heart.
Don't you want them to win?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh shit, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's how high the stakes are right now.
Oh shit. Oh god, we gotta go. Keep on minding. Ah!